Party people, welcome to another installment of Opportunity with your hostess with the mostest, myself and Mr. Yvonne. You don't want to say,
Yes.
how about say you don't want to say hello to them, Yvonne?
Oh, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? I didn't open it today, so that's why I'm just like, go ahead, Terrence, take full reign.
How y'all enjoying the snow? Us East Coast people, we got hit with a lot of snow this weekend, so a lot of us are just trying to get over that. But
I didn't
today,
even shovel yet.
oh yeah, you crazy. I went out there early today when our sun was nice and beaming. Because Lord knows I don't want to do it in the morning. But
Oh man.
yeah. So on today's show, we're going to have a little lighthearted fun. We're going to talk about operas that we do like and some that we, not so much. So
The
with
bad
that,
ones.
well, yeah. Well, I won't say bad, but our least favorite. This is not
Yeah, that's
intended to bash any composer and or musicians, singers. It's just lighthearted fun, preferences, all that good stuff. So without further ado, we're going to get started. Yvonne, you want to start with the ones you don't like, and then I'll go, and then we can go to the ones that we do like.
Are we going like one, I say one and you say one? Or are we just gonna
Yeah,
go
we
down
can
the
do.
list?
You can do. You say
Go ping
one.
pong?
We can do ping pong, or you can say one. I can say one. We can feed off each other. It doesn't matter.
All right, my first one on my list of the operas that I do not care for. I'm pretty sure I'm about to get a full target on my back. I'm pretty sure, like, as soon as I go out to shovel my snow, there's going to be a group of Baroque musicians ready to jump me. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to can Julius Caesar. I'm sorry. I'm canning it.
What?
I'm canning
Why?
it. You know why I'm canning it? And I know like Handel literally probably like maybe a few inches turned in his grave. The reason why I did it is because to me, Handel is such a prolific composer. On the standing of he has a myriad of operas that I feel are formed, not known, unless you're in the type of field that does it. I feel that like for Baroque operas, for people who do not really fully listen to our repertoire, the select pieces that are Trojan chosen
Not
are
true.
literally seen. I don't know. I was literally thinking his Diademia, so that's why in my mind I'm literally thinking of a whole other opera that I feel, even though it only got one performance in London when it premiered, because people were kind of like overhandled. They're like, your shit sucks. Like, but the thing is, it's Julius Caesar. Not saying, and I'm not taking away from its vocal beauty, and it is a very well composed and written opera. But I feel that it's become redundant to me. I just feel that there's greater works of Handel. I mean, in my top favorites, once we list it, you'll be like, oh, I'd never heard of that one. But I do feel that he's just so much more than Julius Caesar. And it really doesn't show to me the vocal virtuosity that a lot of his other operas do. Very similar to Mozart. Mozart's operas, you can get some that are more lyrical and kind of, and then you get more ones that are more decorated and a little bit more interesting. So I'm gonna have to can Julius Caesar. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing that. It gotta go. Like, let's do something different. Let's add a new flavor to the sauce.
I know that's right. I was surprised at that one. I don't mind Julius Caesar. It's not as bad to me. So my first one, I'm gonna go with. A lot of people don't even know Fauré composed operas, but he did this opera called Penelope, and it's like an extended French melody. It's fine, but it's when it's just kind of on the boring side for me. I'm sorry. It was just a little too boring for me. It's not a bad piece. Um, yeah, I just even with the great Jesse Norman singing it, I just couldn't get into it like that. So yeah, that's my number one. Is for Penelope by Fauré.
Mm.
You got one for us, Yvonne?
Zeus's Penelope. All right. On my next one, I think that you probably know this one. A least favorite opera of mine. I don't care. Countertenors, bring it. I live in Queens. You want the Addy, you could pull up.
Oh my.
I'm definitely gonna pick A Midsummer's Night Dream by Benjamin Britten. Yes, it is not. It is. I'm sorry. I'm literally taking full aim at the operas that and this is just me, like my preference. Like when somebody gives you a whole list of things, you're going to be attached to the things that you like, whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, whenever I am given A Midsummer's Night Dream and I'm listening to Oberon, one, the tessiturus is too low. It's just like, you know, for the type of repertoire that I'm trying to produce and kind of put out there, it just sits too low for me. That's really just it. I'm not saying it's a horrible opera. It's just like if I had to rate, like, I've never fully even seen the whole opera, to be honest with you. Like, I've heard the arias of Oberon, but I'm just like, am I gonna get the
How are you gonna put that on your list and you ain't heard the whole opera?
Because from what I heard, I just was not impressed. Like, I'm
It's not
sorry.
that bad. I mean, I understand what you're saying about Oberon, and he is an integral part, clearly, of the opera. But it's not that bad. Like there's some nice parts of it.
What I'm looking for, I'm looking to uncover this same story, but a little bit more Baroque. Because I'm interested to hear. And if anybody's listening that's a composer who writes in Baroque style, please write a whole new Midsummer's Night Dream. Please. Please, with the adequate voices I have today. Thank you. All right, your turn.
Oh my Jesus. My next one is, since we're on the subject of fairies, I'm gonna go with Henry Purcell's The Fairy Queen. Another one that when you by comparison compare the drama and the the overall work that he did with Dido and Aeneas, and then you listen to The Fairy Queen, you're just like, what?
I agree.
One piece in The Fairy Queen, and I was like, okay, cool. But when you compare it to, I love Dido and Aeneas from beginning to end. The opening, the Sinfonia is great. From there, the first chorus, that I could listen to, which but that ends up one of the greatest pieces known to opera. You know what I'm saying? Dido's, lament, excuse me. So The Fairy Queen, I just feel like it could, when you think about it in context, comparing it to Dido and Aeneas, then you like, it's not me like, oh, okay, let me go back and listen to Dido, because Henry Purcell, I need you to redeem yourself. All of his songs, Music for a While, that, but that, I was like, okay, boom. And then when I heard it, I was like, when I heard The Fairy Queen, I was like, I don't know, I just didn't like it. My thing. All right, Yvonne, right back to you. The fairy's gonna kill us.
Oh my God. I think I'm about to get full shots, because my next one that I really kind of don't really care for. I'm ready for the attack. I'm gonna go with Gluck's Orfeo. Yes. The reason why is I'm not sure if people are familiar with other Gluck operas. And I'm putting this in the same category as Julius Caesar. I'm not taking away from the work. It is beautiful. It is interesting. Can we please listen to his Paride ed Elena? Can we please listen to those opera arias that we take and put in the 24 aria songs, or something that we're given to students to listen to? There's pieces from Paride and Elena that singers do sing. It is beautiful music. It is a beautiful opera. It is a doable opera. It is a doable opera. I believe there are 3 characters in the cast, or 4, if like my memory serves me right. I'm sure it's probably not just, it's kind of that play off of like, it gives me Romeo and Juliet vibes. And that's why like I don't understand why we always result into, and this is what I'm talking about with countertenors already being confined to a box. It's like all other voice types have a barrage of repertoire to sing from. It's almost as if like as soon as I choose to pick up this repertoire, okay, you have to learn Julius Caesar, you have to learn Gluck Orfeo. I'm literally sitting here just like, that's the American idea. Why in Europe? And Oberon, it's like, come on. It's like all the choices that y'all have picked for me, and it's not even me trying to be rebellious. It's just like, come on. You're literally just downplaying the composers. It's just, it's a big X on my list. What's your next one?
I was before I get to mine, I would have always, I don't mind Orfeo. I like to hear, my only thing with Gluck is I like to hear as many different voices as possible, and his operas really maybe give you 3 or 4 at the most, sometimes lead roles. But I mean, I'm not opposed to Orfeo, but I can understand your point of view. If I had to pick my favorite Gluck opera, it'd probably be Alceste. Yeah, Alceste. Yeah, that's probably my favorite one. But yeah, he did his version of Armida. He has a few that I've heard.
He's a wonderful composer. I just don't understand why.
A few that Echo and Narcissus. I know he did that.
Oh, that's not I literally was doing that summer program of Echo and Narcissus. I don't like it.
But I mean, just to say that he's done more than just Orfeo.
Yeah, just Orfeo.
Yeah. I was gonna do an aria from one of his operas. I forgot which one it was, but anyway, my next one is another situation, kind of like the Fairy Queen. It's Edgar by Puccini. Now, Puccini is probably my favorite operatic composer, but when you compare Edgar to Tosca and La Boheme and Turandot and which one I'm missing, Madame Butterfly and Manon Lescaut, when you compare them, they just don't. It's okay, but when you listen to it, you don't get that Puccini. Is it a bad opera? It's okay, but it's just not. It don't give me what the other ones give me. Like, you can do an all nighter with Puccini. You can go lovey-dovey, love-stricken Tosca, dramatic. You can go, and then end it all with Madame Butterfly. Like, it will take you. Edgar is just not. It just never really did it for me. Not an entire. And that's the beautiful thing, you can see composers grow and, improve their writing styles and composing styles and things of that nature. But yeah, I'm sorry, Edgar's gonna have to go. Sorry, Puccini, you one of my favorite composers, but Edgar gotta go. Yvonne.
Okay, so I'm ready for like the double shot barrel attack. The next one that I chose that I'm not kind of like feeling, and I tried to listen to this opera. I mean, I was encouraged to look at the roll. There was a trouser roll there. I'm gonna have to put Faust on the D list.
Gounod?
It's by Gounod. It's something about it to where I'm just like, this is just too much for me. Orally to listen to. It's interesting. I like the play on Mephistopheles and kind of like this dark comic undertone behind it. Like the plot is interesting, but it's, for me musically, it just doesn't, I don't care for it. Like I wouldn't pay tickets to go see Faust, preferably for myself. Just like I know there's certain people who wouldn't pay tickets to go listen to like some Leonardo Vinci, a Baroque composer, or like, it's to each his own taste. But it's like for me personally, it's gonna be a no.
I like Faust. Faust is it's a title role. It's a lot of good music there, especially if you're, heavier lyric, spinto-ish kind of a tenor. It's a lot of good music there. The opera in total, to me, the best role in the opera is Mephistopheles, from costume
Yeah.
to plot. I do like his role, and I don't think anybody do it better than Samuel Ramey, but that's neither here nor.
Yep, that's the only thing I really enjoyed about that entire, like, listening to the soundtrack is whenever Mephistopheles is singing or speaking, because it's kind of like, ooh, this is, I'm hearing things that, like, the word painting for the character, I feel he executed precisely. It's like, but there's just it's like so much involved. It reminds me of like the construct, like when I was looking at the score one time, because I was looking at the role of Sable, so like, or Seville. So like I'm literally looking at it and I see like, to me it seems like there's somewhat of unstructured recitative. Like it's just like sometimes it'll move into something, but the chorus stuff, I can say the choral stuff there is beautiful. There was one choral piece that was kind of brilliant, I think, before Mephistopheles was presented in the opera. But I think it's good, but it's just not my, yeah. And what's your next one? I'm curious.
My next one will probably ruffle some feathers to the 20th century contemporary people. It's Alan Berg's Vozek. I cannot. Woo. And I respect that there are people who are really in love with that type of music. It's just so much going on. Like it's like, now I know some people really love and enjoy that kind of stuff. Any note you want, and it'll sound right. Like for me, that type of music, Alan Berg, Schoenberg, those guys, just not my thing. Just nothing wrong with it. It's just not my thing. I can't catch it as easy. So real because I couldn't get into the music. It was just too much. And what about you? What's your last one?
My last one, I would have to say, and like I said, pull up, is Don Giovanni. I'm over it. I'm over it. I mean, Cozy comes right after me being over him, but I'm over it. Like, stop it. Stop it. It's like I said, it's the same thing with Handel. It's not that I'm taking away saying Don Giovanni is a crappy opera or Così fan tutte is a crappy opera. Stop limiting such a prolific, talented, ingenious composer to the just like who picked. I want to just sit all like opera directors or whoever who's choosing artistic directors at places to be like, do you not have an expansive list of operas? Like, where did you go to school? Like, who told you this was the status quo and we must always listen to the same thing? It's like we'll never hear different types of voices. People will never aspire. It's like you're always confining people to the same redundancy. And it's just like, come on, can we take a deep breath? I am so tired of Don Giovanni. I am so tired of Così fan tutte. Like, I'm telling you, let Aaron pull some bull. Go ahead. What's your next?
That's so crazy because as much as this is probably one of the few composers, well, him and Puccini will probably be on my worst and my best list. And my last one, I know I'm going to catch some slack from this, is a Mozart opera as well, and that's Le Notte di Figaro. Not that it's about, there are plenty of arias and duets. Sull'aria, I know, is a very famous duet for two sopranos. Plenty of baritone and bass material. Hydra Fila Koza. A lot of my good friends, sang a lot of material from that. You got the mezzos and the countertenors, Voy que sapete, sopranos, porgi amor, and I could go on and on and on. I know that opera like the back of my hand. It's just, I think it's overdone. I think it needs to be put on a shelf for 25 years or 20 years, and then, because is a very it's a good it's an easy it's an easy opera to perform in the sense that those type of voices are easier to find.
Mm-hmm.
But and however, I think that we've into, it's not that Cozy is a bad work. It's not that Don Giovanni is a bad work, because all of them, any singer worth their beans, have had to sing an aria from all three of them, if not, at least one of the three. So it's not that. It's just that they're overdone. They're overdone, and he has other works that are just as good. And I see the Magic Flute is following in that pattern where they're overdoing the Magic Flute. It's going to be the new Marriage of Figaro. It's going to be the new. It's going to be the new Don Giovanni. It's going to be the new Cozy. Like, how many times? Like, we don't have to do Cozy every season. You can substitute a Cozy for a Clemenza. You can substitute a Don Giovanni for a Idomeneo, And if you have the now his other stuff is a little harder to cast because the voices are a little more challenging, like, the Mitridate and the Lucia Silla. Those are a little tougher to cast only because they require a lot of like florid work and high range stuff and stuff. So I understand those groups are harder to cast. But what about Idomeneo and what about Clemenza? And even the abduction. Now the Sopranos in the abduction, you gotta have some good coloratura Sopranos. But I feel like they should be performing that even more. Take out one of those Don Giovanni's and give us the abduction. It wouldn't hurt. But yeah, those are our 5 operas we don't like. So let's move on to some good news. Let's pick 10 operas we do like, and if we look, right, not for every role, but who would you want to see in these operas? All right. So, Yvonne, you want to start us off again, or you want me to go first?
You could go first. I'll go next.
Okay, cool. So my first opera that I picked that I love is Strauss's Der Rosenkavalier. I think that I just love how Papa Strauss composed. Beautiful work. I'm sure everybody has heard the presentation of the rose scene in the third act. Amazing, amazing, amazing music. If I had to pick a dream cast for me, I would put Kathleen Battle as Sophie. I would do Leontine Price as the Marschallin. I would pick Florence Koval as Octavian. I would do maybe Simon Estes as the Baron Ox, and maybe Cheryl Mills as Faninal. And that's pretty. That covers.
I can't look at all that black excellence.
and plus Cheryl Mills, but we that's fine. But yeah, I love the work. I always love the piece. It is a harder piece to perform because
but what about you? Hold up, I thought we were picking operas that you definitely could see yourself in as well too.
no, it could be favorites. I mean, some of these maybe down the line, but no, not me per se. No,
Okay.
ones that I like, that we like. Excuse me. All right. I mean, if you want to do it that way, that's fine. I'm gonna toss it over to you. Give us one.
All right. So mine is someone that I kind of like, a composer I've done works for and sung some choral stuff, but his opera stuff I was referred to the beginning of last year, and I'm going to say it is Papa Haydn. The reason why I chose Haydn is because Haydn is so close to a lot of Baroque prominent composers that I'm familiar with. Haydn was actually a student of the famous Baroque composer Nicola Porpora. And I find that so hysterical because sometimes when I'm listening to some of Haydn's operas, I hear Nicola a little bit in them. And preferably in the opera that I chose from him is Il Mondo della Luna. And the role that I preferably would love to do is the role of Ernesto, who and that's one of the arias from that opera I'm actually choosing to do for my recital, like my senior recital. If I was to pick, I only chose one person who I would want to sing in, and that would be George Shirley as the role of as the astrologer. I just think like to just be in the presence of such a magnificent artist and voice, and specifically in Haydn. I mean, George Shirley to Mozart. I mean, you put me on hearing Mozart, him and Idomeneo, and I literally I got this is like not humanly possible vibes from just the things he's just doing with his voice, just so effortlessly and free. So my go-to would definitely be Il Mondo della Luna, the role that I would want to do as Ernesto. That's something that I'm putting out there in the future. It's not so high. It is considered like a contralto role, but I've noticed that the arias are very lyrical, very melodic, beautiful. So that's my number one so far.
All right. So next up on my list, I have Dvorak's Rusalka. That's another piece. That's another composer in general that I have a great fondness for. But I love me some Rusalka, and for those of you who know, the song to the moon that comes from that opera. While I do love me some Renee Fleming, if I had to pick, I would love to hear Barbara Hendricks in the title role. Awa Poodles as the Jezzy Baba the Witch. The tenor Joseph Clay. I would love to hear him sing the Prince. I love his voice. He's another one that's has a gorgeous voice. And maybe Renee Papa to fill in the bass role. But yeah, that's my pick. Salka. All right, on your turn. Back to you.
All right, so my next one that I chose is none other than Handel's epic, beautiful opera, Ariodante. I chose this aria, I mean, not this aria, but this opera, because I feel like it is a very underestimated opera. It's getting a lot of traction in Europe right now. But if I had to pick a dream cast, I have as well been working on the title role of Ariodante. So if I had to pick up a cast of singers I would love to sing with, I would have myself as Ariodante. I would have, and I know how you feel about this because you don't really care, we had to talk about this, but I would have loved to perform with Joan Sutherland as Ginevra because I feel that she still gets that sense of, Ginevra has coloratura, but it also has some lyrical qualities to it, and I feel Joan Sutherland would have just knocked it out. I feel for the role of Delinda, the attendant to Ginevra, I would have loved to see Kathleen Battle do that, kind of very light, playful. My Polineso, even though it is a male role, I feel since it's so dramatic and so evil, if I had to pick a countertenor today, I would pick Franco Fagioli for that. If I had to pick a contralto, 100% Awa Poodles. My Lorcanio, definitely, I'm thinking of if it had to do with a tenor, again, I would have to go to George Shirley, just because his coloratura is just effortless. It's clean. It's satisfying to the ear. The other two, I'm kind of like, meh, those two roles. But for that set cast, I think that would be just an interesting mix.
Ariodante, that's a good one. Okay. So my number 3 is probably a fan favorite. You don't get no better when you talk about drama and just verissimo singing and just the blood and guts of it all. So my number 3 is going to go to Tosca by the one and only Puccini. my dream cast, I think two of them have already sang together, and that would be Leontine Price and Franco Corelli. I would love to hear Bastianini as Scarpia, and of course, Corelli and Leontine in their respective roles as Tosca and Cavaradossi. I mean, if you know, you know. If you listen to Tosca, you know. If you wanna cheat, the Act Two will send you. Act Two is some. If you can get a good recording, I recommend the Leontine Price one with Franco Corelli. I mean, just the singing alone will knock you out your seat. Just vicious. I think Tito Gobbi
Mm.
sang Scarpia in that production. I believe so. But that's another one that's ruthless, stage singer, genius. But I would want to hear Bastianini because I feel like he would give us more vocal and less antics. And I think Gobbi, don't get me wrong, Tito Gobbi is, one of the role models of what Baron Scarpia, should be. But I like to hear my Scarpia sing a little more versus the antics. The antics are fine, but I just like mine saying a little more. So yeah, that's my
Mm.
Tosca. Hey
Okay.
Vaughn, what about you? What's next on your list?
Next on my list would have to be an opera that I was exposed to very early. Um, it is definitely Johann Adolf Haas's Cleofide. Um, this is a Baroque opera. I personally, if I had to pick a role from it, I would choose the role of Gandhartes, which is the Indian general to King Poro. But my dream cast, somewhat has already been, it has already come true. Um, there is a recording on Spotify if you're interested of listening to it. It's a beautiful, beautiful opera. Unfortunately, there are no tenor and basses in this opera. It is legit soprano and mezzo. That's all the voice types there are. Um, the album on Spotify, Derek Lee Reagan is singing the role of Poro, the Indian ruler. Cleofide, the title role, is played by Emma Kirkby, who is a very light coloratura soprano, almost as clear as a bell to me whenever I hear the voice. And she added such expression to this opera. And for the role that I chose, Gandhartes, the one that I feel who really delivered is another countertenor known as, his name is Randall Wong, and slayed it. I mean, the voices with Derek, Randall Wong, and Emma Kirkby, those three Baroque titans together, timeless, timeless, timeless.
Yeah, I heard Vivica Janot do some highs. I like his music.
Mm-hmm.
Not I don't think he's performed nowhere near enough. I don't know why we don't have his stuff in the major opera houses, but whatever. Um, Next up on my list, I'm going to take a break from Puccini because I see that Puccini appears a lot on my list. I'm going to go back to Mr. Mozart and let him redeem himself. I'm going to go with one of my favorite. This is probably my favorite Mozart work, and if you know me, you know it's Idomeneo. I love Idomeneo because it gives. It's just a departure from the Don Giovanni type, the Nota di Figaro type of music that he normally composes. And to me, he introduced what I call a dramatic Mozart tenor. And especially with
Mm.
this role in Clemenza and Tito, excuse me, he introduced this different kind of Fox. It's not a real Fox, but I created that one. I like the dramatic Mozart tenor. Um,
Yeah.
but if I had to pick a cast, of course I'm going to go with George Shirley in the title role. I'm going to go
Yes.
with Barbara Hendricks as Ilya. I'm going to go with John Holliday as Idamante. I'm going to go with
Yes.
and I'm going to go with Cynthia Hayman as Electra. Um,
Mm.
I always wanted to hear a kind of tenor do Idamante from beginning to end. I've heard, kind of tenor sing the aria, but to sing the role from beginning to end, I think it's a good one. Um, It's not crazy high. I think you have some G's. I think a couple of A flats, and that's pretty much it. But yes, E Domineo, definitely one of my favorites.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna backpack right off of that since we're talking about Mozart. And this opera to me, even though it is rarely done and it is difficult, and I mean to each his own of how people feel about it, but I enjoy Mozart's Mitridate, Re di Ponto. The reason I know you're gonna give, but the reason why there's something about this opera that I feel forces the voices to sing where a lot of singers fear of doing. It's like this opera calls singers to have nerve, to have confidence, and to have exquisite vocal technique. It is not for the light and the faint-hearted. If it is, it's something I understand from the point that a lot of it is not for. If you're looking for something that's full of quartets and trios and has kind of this, umbrella abridged kind of everybody's together type opera, Mitridate is not for you. If you are a singer who has a huge ego and really likes to take on the stage, I recommend you looking at Mitridate because you will get that star time because you will be singing by yourself. Um, if I had to pick for singers, I definitely for the role of Aspasia, which is a very decorated coloratura. Um, I would love to hear, even though she isn't quote unquote a soprano per se, she takes on the title of a mezzo coloratura. I actually want to hear Cecilia Bartoli take on the role of Aspasia. And I actually would love to hear Vivica Jeannot take on the role of Sifari. Because I see that a lot of Cecilia Bartoli has been the only mezzo I've seen that has attacked Sifari because you are singing high D flats. Aspasia, you're singing high Cs, but I know Bartoli has them. For my Farnace, I would pick Franco Fagioli. Like I'm trying to keep it in a way to where there's some modern voices we're hearing, but the depth and roundness of their colors and sounds tend to be a little bit of a darker timbre. So I feel it would just give this opera something new. And of course, the role of Mitridate, Bruce Ford, come back to the stage, and let them know how it's done. So that would kind of be, I'm actually looking at some of the roles of Sifari. It does sit high. If I had to think about it, if it's a role that I would take under my belt, no. At this point in my life, it is way too demanding. You are singing in the stratosphere for the entirety of this opera to the last aria that you sing. So I would just have to put that under my favorites because it just has a soft spot in my heart. I don't know why, but it's just something. Even the story. I mean, the plot to me, you could even go on YouTube, check it out. There's like some period costumes with it where she's wearing the huge wooden long Baroque dress. So if you're trying to get your Baroque feels to listen to and into the classical and just that early Mozart, I would go with Mitridate.
Okay. I already said how I feel about Mitridate. I'll leave it alone. So moving right along to my fifth pick, we're gonna go with back to Puccini. We're gonna go with Turandot. I love that opera that's another one of my favorites from beginning to end. Most people know it just for Nessun Dorma, but it has a whole other slew of beautiful arias, especially for sopranos and tenors. You have the Signore Ascolta. You have the other Lou's other aria. I forget the name of it. For the tenors, you of course have Nessun Dorma, but you also have Non Piangere Liu, which I feel is equally beautiful. But from beginning to end, it's just I can't forget. Of course, the title role, Turandot, her entrance aria in Questa Regia, which is woo, you got to drive a truck through that aria. It's no joke. But if I had to pick my cast, I would have loved to hear Jesse Norman sing Turandot, and just take on it and knock her way through it. For you, I would love to hear. I would have loved to hear Wilhelmina Fernandez. That's another one who didn't really get her just due. If you guys ever saw the movie called Diva, I think it was in French. It was loosely based on an opera singer's life. Go find it. I'm sure they have it on YouTube. She actually stars in it and she does the soundtrack for it. She sings the famous Eben Nandro Lantana. I'm pretty sure you heard it. If you know that already, you've heard it. It's beautiful. So yeah, I will pick Wilhelmina Fernandez as Caliph, one of today's few exciting, gorgeously voiced, full, forceful, dramatic tenors, Mr. Lemmy Pullum. I love that man's voice. If you don't know who Lemmy is, look him up, look him up, look him up. He give Corelli and Del Monaco and those guys a run for their money. Talking about a dramatic tenor at their finest, Lemmy Pullum. Please look him up. I think he's singing Othello now, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, look him up. Please look him up. The man is a beast. But yeah, that's my number 5. Yvonne, what about you? What's going on?
My next one is something we did recently. I would have to say Dido and Aeneas. Before actually really sitting down, like I was familiar with the opera, and of course, Dido's Lament is just, it's timeless, it's beautiful. But I wanted to pick more of a modern cast for this. I would actually love to hear Janine DeVica sing Dido. If I was to think about it, I would want Jamie Barton as the sorceress. I feel like, and if I was to pick Jamie Barton as the sorceress, I definitely think that her 2 witches would have to be 2 countertenors to just bring that fabulosity together. I know LA Opera did it. John Holliday was the sorceress, and Daryl Taylor, and there's another countertenor. His name literally slips from my memory. But from the reviews I've seen, it was just spectacular. For my Aeneas, I would choose Juan Sancho, who is a really big Baroque tenor in Europe right now. He does a lot of Hassa, a lot of, he's been tackling a lot of the early Mozart, and as well as doing a lot of Baroque obscure composers' works as well too. Very beautiful ring in the voice, very beautiful timbre. I would just love to see that. I mean, Janine is doing her thing right now. Good job, Janine, and that Alcina. I was seeing clips and I was just taken aback. It's just beautiful, effortless. I would just want to see a more diverse Dido. I would want to see kind of, a stage full of different colors and voices and appearance. And I think that now we have these star quality of voices. Even though I would pick Jamie Barton as the sorceress, John Holliday, you could still be the sorceress. You did a phenomenal job. I would literally, that would kind of be like just the main people I would love to hear. The other ones, really, the roles really aren't so prominent. Like, if it's Belinda, I really couldn't think of anybody that comes to mind that I'm thinking right now for it. Probably if I really thought a lot hard on it. But the ones that I really just went to, the 2 roles that stick out the most, is definitely Dido and the Sorceress. So I would love to see that contrast between Janine and Jamie. So yeah.
That's a good one. We love us some Dido. My next one, we're going to go to one of the reigning kings of romantic opera. I'm going to go with Mr. Verdi, and I'm going to go with Macbeth. And I'm not sure if these 2 sang together, but I know they both sang their respective roles in Macbeth, but I'm not sure if they sang together, and I would have to go Cheryl Mills as Macbeth.
Ooh.
And the late, great Shirley Verrett as Lady Macbeth. And they both sang the roles. I just don't know. I think they might have done it together. I'm not sure. I know she did it with Leo Nucci, but I would definitely pick her and Mills together. That will be some crazy singing, some good old Verdi singing. It's a great work, of course, based on Shakespeare's play, but the way Verdi set it to the music, is definitely one of his showstoppers. All right, Mr. Yvonne, what is going on with number 6?
All right, number 6 for me. I chose Vivaldi's La Griselda. This is a very florid decorated opera. Um, if I was to pick for any roles, if I had to choose one, there's between two. I would either pick between the role of Roberto or Ottone, which are both, soprano countertenor type roles. I heard Philippe Jarouski do the role of Roberto. Beautiful, beautiful, hands down beautiful. That role was for you, Philippe. Like, continue. The role of Ottone, I would love to kind of put that under a list for me of roles to learn. It does play around a high B, like staccato high Bs. A very almost like a bravura type role, in my opinion. I've heard a countertenor named David Hansen. There's a recording on Spotify of him performing it. It's a little bit too light for me, a little bit too hollow in the sound. But I mean, he does deliver what was written on the page. I just feel that it just needed a different color. For Griselda, who's a contralto, for this, my star in my mind definitely will be Ava Portals as a contralto, or Sarah Mingardo, who is a very beautiful, oh my God, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful contralto. I listened to a lot of her Vivaldi cantatas, and as well as she's done some Handel operas as well too. For the title role, Gualtiero, who is a tenor, I believe it's the King of Thessaly, I would pick Juan Sancho again, or I would even love to hear George Shirley do that. I haven't really heard any Vivaldi from George Shirley. I haven't really researched enough. If he's done, I'm going to probably check after this podcast just to double check to see. But if I was to pick my two top tenors for that, it would be George Shirley and Juan Sancho.
Okay, I think next on my list, we're going to go to the dramatic man himself, Mr. Richard Wagner, and I'm going to go with Die Walküre. If you heard The Ride of the Valkyries, it comes from that opera. It's a long one, but it's a good one. It's a tough sing. My star, I would love to hear Grace Bumbry sing Sieglinde. I would have Jesse Norman sing Brunhilde. I would love to hear Jesse Norman do that Brunhilde. That would have been crazy. Another dramatic tenor of our day, Issachar Savage, singing Signal, and our good old Wotan from our neighborly Wagner bass baritone, Mr. Simon Estes. So that would be my picks from for Die Walküre. Yes. And what about your number 7? Lucky number 7.
I actually so for my lucky number 7, I'm going to go back to Mozart, and I'm actually going to pick, I think, La Clemenza di Tito. If I was to think of my star cast for this, in my mind, I would love to hear Larry Brownlee as Tito.
Really?
If I was to think about it, if I was gonna, and this is my star cast, I would have him as Tito. Yes, I would have Vitalia as Kathleen Battle. As Sesto, if I was to pick, because I kind of still want it to be male, I went John Holiday as Sesto. Anio, I would have to pick. Now, see, this is difficult because I want to pick a countertenor, but because I feel with the select group of voices, I still want it to kind of match together. So if I was to pick Anio, I would want a mix there. Oh, if it was I don't know. I was still kind of leading toward, just because I love the color her sound, I was picking Grace Bumbry. And if it was Servija, I would want Faye Robinson. Like
Okay, yeah, that's
like the reason why I want Faye, either I would have Faye as Servija or Vitelia, is because I feel like if she had a prominent, more kind of, if she was given her just due, because the voice was there, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, especially when the clip I hear of her singing Handle. In my mind, I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's like the virtuosity is there in the voice, the emotive quality she has, the spin she has on those high notes, especially in her legato, beautiful. Faye, I wish I heard more of you. I wish like if I looked in the archives, if Faye Robinson and Derek Lee Reagan literally was out here eating up roles together, like those lover roles, it would be beautiful. In another world.
in another world, right? All right, so let's get on to number 8. Another pinnacle in the opera community from one of the titans of bel canto music. I'm gonna go with Bellini's Norma.
Mm-hmm.
We all know Callis made her mark on this role, but I actually enjoyed when Shirley Verrett sang it. My Adagisa would be the very underrated Florence Quivar. She actually sang Adagisa with Grace Bumbry as Norma. That was a lot of singing in that one. A lot of singing. Napoleone. I love me some Franco Corelli, so I will definitely leave Napoleone. And then the Great American Bass, Boris Christoph as Overseo, and that would be my pick from Norma. All sopranos, no Casta Diva, probably one of the pinnacles of the soprano repertoire. Yeah, it's a good opera from beginning to end. Excellent singing. You can't half do Norma. Every role in it is like they're singing top tier arias, quartets with chorus, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go with. So Yvonne, back to you, number 8, and who you got for that? Or what?
All right, so I took it back a little bit further. So one that I literally have been listening to because I've been kind of instructed from a few colleagues is Monteverdi's Incarnazione d'Epopeia. I've heard recordings of this, but if I was to think and I'm just talking about the two main titles, of course, Popea and Nerone. I would have loved to hear Riri Grist as Popea in my mind. It's like I was thinking Kathleen Battle, but it's something about Riri I felt would have just made it a little bit more playful. And if I was to choose the title role of Nerone, I would have to pick between John Holliday, Derek Reagan, and you about to look at me sideways and be like, can't believe you said this. David Daniels.
No, because I love his voice too.
I don't like what you did. I hate what he did. He
got a beautiful voice. The instrument is gorgeous. I think who else sang that? I think Maria Ewing did that too. I forget which role she sang. Did she do?
I think, in my honest opinion, I would have loved if we even took on Popea at Erin, because the list of roles for it, I think would have gave everybody a chance to kind of be involved in something. It's just a thought, and I think even Lewis brought this up. Lewis brought something of why haven't we been doing, maybe he even mentioned us doing a Cavalli opera. He's like, I don't understand why we can't do something a little bit more earlier so that everybody gets a chance to kind of get some experience singing together in a full diverse cast.
I'm leaving that alone. I'm not even touching that.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one, I'm gonna go with another fan favorite, Bizet's Carmen,
Ooh.
which I'm pretty sure everybody's heard something from, whether it's the Overture or Carmen's Opera or the Seguidilla or Don Jose's Flower Song or
Mm-hmm.
Votre Tos, the Toreador Song. I'm pretty sure we've all heard something from that opera, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a bit of a reach with this one. And I would have loved to hear Marian Anderson sing Carmen. And let me explain. By the time Marian Anderson made her debut, she was already in her 50s. And we didn't really get her in the operatic stuff when she was younger because, of course, what was going on in the world at the time. Well, in this country at the time. So she didn't make her debut until she was in her 50s, and it was in, a secondary role. She sang Eureka and Umbalo, which, don't get me wrong, it's some good music, but I needed Mary Anderson to do Carmen. I would have loved to hear, even if she didn't do it full stage, I would have loved to just hear a recording of her doing the whole role. Um, and Michaela, I would have loved to hear another one that we don't get to hear much of, who's an excellent singer, Roberta Alexander, who's an excellent Mozart person. Um, she sang a lot of performances of Clemenza di Tito, and she still, if you want a first rate lesson in how to sing Mozart, check out her master classes. I think she did them a few years ago, and she is well into her 60s, 70s, still spinning out notes better than people in their 20s and 30s. So if you want an excellent master class in Mozart singing, definitely go check out her masterclass. It is full of information and excellence. Um, my man Bastianini as Camilo, and I think that's it. Oh no, Don Jose, excuse me. And I would give Don Jose to the beautifully underrated Thomas Young. If you guys ever watched the Three Mo Tenors with Derek Lee Rajan, he was the gentleman with the gray hair. That's Thomas Young, who had a beautiful lyric tenor voice, and I just feel like he was never given his just due for whatever reason. I'm gonna leave that alone. But what's your number 9, Yvonne?
Oh. Well, we give him his flowers today. Give him his flowers today.
Absolutely.
Are you ready for my next one?
I'm waiting on the people are waiting on you.
Okay. So for my next one, I chose an opera that Okay, so my next one that I feel, we had a conversation about this, and you literally was just like, Yvonne, this opera is boring. Like, there's nothing about it that I feel is interesting. I am going to go with Philip's Glass Akhenaten. It is something about, there are certain things where it's like, oh, that's interesting. But there are some pieces of that opera that are beautiful. Like that is a modern opera that I personally would consider myself singing. Um, but if I had to pick the two voices I feel would have made that opera just heighten, and I thought about this because the role of Nefertiti is a contralto. I'm going to piggyback off of you, and I thought about this. I would have loved to hear Marian Anderson sing that. I would have loved to hear Marian Anderson sing that, and I would have loved to hear Derek Lee Reagan sing the role of Akhenaten together. I would have loved to hear those two different type of timbres and sounds together. And if it's not Derek Lee Reagan, I would have loved to hear Brennan Hall sing it, who is another countertenor who I feel is not given his flowers as well too. He actually performed the role of Akhenaten. If you look up Brennan Hall, YouTube him, tall in stature, very handsome, beautiful voice, very almost contralto like tendencies to the voice, where I feel him in. And if he was to sing with Miss Anderson, it would be so much beautiful weaving together. I feel that Akhenaten today is not something I would see. Okay, you next.
All right. So last but not least, to piggyback on Akhenaten, I think the sets and the costumes were beautiful. I just didn't. The opera was okay. You can't talk about Strauss without. I'm glad they're really bringing this opera out, and it's really gotten its just due. Ariadne of Naxos. It balances the playful with the serious.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know in the prologue, it's the composer running after the prima donna and all this other crazy stuff, and then we get to the epilogue and all that good stuff. Who would I pick? Of course, I don't think, and I think most people agree, even over Leontine Price, I don't think anybody has stamped this role the way that Jesse Norman stamped Ariadne. Just from beginning to end, she is the one for that role. Like, Strauss got in the time machine, came to the 1980s when Justy was singing, and then went back and wrote it. Like, that's what it almost feels like. Though I love me some Kathleen Battle, I'm gonna go for Zebranetta. I'm gonna go for Harlan Blackwell. For Bacchus, I'm gonna go with Issachar Savage. And then for the trio of nymphs, I'm gonna go for Tashina Vaughn as the contralto, Barbara Hendricks, and Dawn Upshaw as the other two ladies. And that's my last pick. What about you, Yvonne?
Okay. My next opera, my last opera, that I chose, I was on the fence between two, but this one had to take it. I just feel it was only right to do. I chose Xerxes only because I feel that I would rather go and see Handel Xerxes over Julius Caesar. If I was to pick for my Xerxes, I was still picking I feel Janet Baker the role of Xerxes. What's her going on timeless. But if Joe do it, I'm hearing a variety of timbres in my mind when it comes to this. If I was to think of a contralto, I preferably would want Sarah Mingardo for it. If I was to think of my Romilda or my Atalanta, I would, if it's, those are two soprano roles, in my mind, I'm hearing Kathleen Battle as Romilda. At Atalanta, I'm hearing Janine. I feel that would have been beautiful to see them play off of one another. If I was to pick my bass, even though he hates Baroque opera, I would still pick the well-known Kevin Thompson, who's a phenomenal bass. And for my baritone, I really couldn't think of anyone. Just kind of like, I don't really listen to many baritones in Baroque opera, for there's a lot of the times the voice is not there or called for. But in my mind, I would love to hear Janet Baker as Xerxes, Franco Fagioli, or John Holiday. All the others I would keep the same. And that was it.
All right, party people. Well, that was today's episode of Opportunity. Like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Anchor. You can find us on Spotify, and you can definitely find us here on YouTube. Maybe soon
Jules.
we could do we'll do Apple Music as well. Uh, but yeah, that's this episode, and we will catch you guys again on the next one. Remember, if you are having a bad day, keep that to yourself and do not mess anybody else's day up. There is enough going on in this crazy, crazy world. So until we meet again, ladies, gents, and whatever else in between, you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye, everyone. Take care. Stay warm.
That too, yeah.